It's rare that Donald Trump gets into public spats with Republicans, but that's definitely the case when it comes to the governor of Maryland, Larry Hogan. So earlier, Donald Trump had claimed that the states are completely prepared to take on coronavirus testing on their own, that it's their responsibility, and that the federal government has done its part. And Larry Hogan disagreed with that. They're still having a difficult time getting the widespread testing necessary in order to get a handle on coronavirus. Well, I want to go to this video because Trump has already hit back.
Today, Vice President Pence spoke with governors from all 50 states about our unified effort to defeat the virus. He had a great call. It was a great call, very positive in, I'd say, every way. Prior to the call, we provided each governor with a list of the names, addresses, and phone numbers of the labs where they can find additional testing capacity within their states. Many, many labs. We're providing you with a list. We'll show it to you now. If you need it, we'll give you the details. But hundreds and hundreds of labs are ready, willing, and able. Some of the governors, like, as an example, the governor from Maryland didn't really understand the list. He didn't understand too much about what was going on. So now I think he'll be able to do that. It's pretty simple. But they have tremendous capacity, and we hope to be able to help him out. We'll work with them and work with all of the governors.
So just to be clear, Governor Hogan had to get 500,000 coronavirus tests shipped in from South Korea. So to argue that the federal government has done its part is absolutely ridiculous. He has more for Hogan, but before we get to that, Cenk, did he provide the beautiful tests? The testing is very strong, I hear.
There's lots of labs, many, many labs. Okay.
We provided a list.
Yeah. Look, I'm mixed on this because on the one hand, the way that he strikes back at anyone who criticizes him is so obvious, so absurd. It's filled with insecurity. And this is another Republican that he's hitting. On the other hand, it's fairly effective politics. It makes other politicians cower because politicians are generally not leaders, they're followers. So, we're going to show you Hogan's response. I don't think it was that strong. And people are afraid of him. I wish that there was someone on the left who could do it without bringing the circus into town and could effectively apply pressure to get progressive priorities. But unfortunately, that doesn't exist. Instead, we have this guy doing it in the most unsophisticated way you can imagine. But still, even as a blunt instrument, I got to be honest with you, it does often work.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, look, Justin Amash, for instance, is probably the only current lawmaker who spoke out against Trump. And that was after reading the Mueller report, right? So for all the Republicans who are helping cover up for Trump, Justin Amash actually sat down, and he's one of the most conservative lawmakers, right? He's part of that conservative caucus that doesn't think conservatives go far enough in Congress. But he had to expel himself from the Republican Party, and he's now an independent because you just cannot speak out against Donald Trump as a Republican lawmaker without Trump attacking you, his supporters coming after you, and, threatening the future of your political career. So I do give Amash credit for speaking out. And you're right about Hogan. But before we get to that video, there's one more clip of Donald Trump hitting Hogan during his press conference.
Governor Hogan, he didn't really know. It was very obvious to any of those listening on the call today, even though you weren't supposed to be on it. I'm sure that some of you were, or representatives were. He really didn't know about the federal laboratories. We've done a really good job in testing.
They've done a horrible job in testing. Horrible job in testing. We still do not have widespread testing available, which is why Trump repeatedly says that it's up to the governors to get the tests on their own. And that's what Hogan did. He had to get them from South Korea.
Yeah, look, the other thing that's not true is Hogan didn't know about the federal labs. That's absurd. Of course he knew about the federal labs. He's not an idiot like you. In fact, he's been asking to use the federal labs for all this time. And until now, they weren't able to. That's what changed in that call. That's why Hogan thought the call actually went well. But of course, Trump hit him afterwards, not because of anything that happened in the call, but because Hogan had the temerity to say that there wasn't enough testing a couple of days ago on television.
So now let's hear from Hogan.
Response to the president, and what was it that he's suggesting you didn't understand?
I'm really not sure, Sandra. It was a great call we had yesterday with the vice president. I thanked and praised the vice president and the president's team for all the progress that they had been making. I thanked them for what they were doing with respect to swabs and ramping up testing and PPE. It was a completely positive call. They put out a list of the labs that are in our state and said, these are your state labs. You should be utilizing them. We already knew where the state labs were in our state, but the list that they gave us was mostly federal labs, which we've been attempting to use for more than a month now. So we got a commitment yesterday from the vice president and from the president that we can now use federal labs, which is terrific. But the president was not on the call, and somehow I think he got confused in the press conference. I'm really not sure what he was upset about.
Even that like weak response, I think, is going to make him a target for Trump. Like, Trump's going to keep hitting at him, especially the part where he accuses Trump of being confused.
Yeah, I don't know if that was a snide comment, which I would have enjoyed, or if he was just trying to come up with any plausible reason for the disagreement between himself and Trump. But that looks sniveling to me overall, that appearance. That was a great call. I kept thanking him. I kept thanking the vice president. The swabs. They gave us the swabs. I'm so sorry. Remember, he's not on CNN. He's on Fox News. So on Fox, he's like, I agree with the president. I agree with the president. Look, this is a guy I gave credit to a couple of days ago, not just because he criticized Trump correctly and he was right on the facts, but because he has been fighting really hard to do the best for his state. So we give credit where credit is due. And that credit is not erased because he had this appearance on Fox News. The most important thing is, what do you actually do on your job? But look at what I told you guys. Trump bullies these guys, and it largely works. So he goes on Fox and goes, Trump deserves credit, Pence deserves credit, they're great, and I thank them profusely, etc., because he's scared. He's scared. So, you know, as this is one of the rare things that Trump does right. Yes, it's bullying. Yes, it's, you know, completely unsophisticated. But in politics, this is hardball, and Democrats do play it against progressives. They never, ever play it against Republicans. And Trump does it against other Republicans. He does it against Democrats. And he does it to, unfortunately, good effect.
Definitely.
And I want to be clear, good effect in terms of policy. There's been nothing but a disaster in handling coronavirus. Only good effect in terms of electoral politics and his ability to get what he wants politically. He couldn't manage an actual crisis if his life depended on it. It's all optics for him. And on the optics front, it helps him, but not in any real way in terms of substance.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.